In this video, Alex, Hang and I are going to analyse the new Mass Effect promos to find out what they mean, because the truth is out there, so subscribe to find out. So, BioWare have released a new poster here. We've got a ship, a mountain that very clearly looks like a Geth, two cracks protruding horizontally from the sides that look just like the lens flare of a real Geth. The mountain dips in the middle, so perhaps there's something in there. Could this be a mission in the real game?
And if so, what could the mission be about? Is it finding something that's dead or finding something that should be dead?
That's probably the two strongest probabilities. And I'm just going to zoom into the mountain. Now, it may or may not be of some significance, but these two cracks that represent the lens flare of a real Geth, they would never form naturally. That is a synthetic formation, 100%. Now, it might be just to make it look like a Geth, or what I hope is that it signifies something very important, or at least very interesting, of this mountain. And if we kind of zoom in a bit more into what I'm going to call the eye of the mountain, or the mouth of the mountain, we've got like a blue circle. You know, we can't see what goes out from these black edges, but on the right hand side we've got like a semicircular protrusion, and I think
looks
that
like a light
be,
on a real Geth.
Yeah, you know, you've got, that would be the main eye of a real Geth, and you've got like a little something coming off of it that might be an entrance to a cave system that might lead to a Geth facility. You know, I don't think these people would be here for nothing. You know, I think this poster will signify something that's going to happen in the real game. You know, just kind of underneath and to the right of the protrusion, we've got like another little crater with like a blue in the middle. You know, like on the Geth faces they have,
yes,
you know, secondary, tertiary lights. Sometimes they have them on both sides. This one only has one. You know, it could mean something, it could mean nothing. Maybe something will pop out of there. That would be interesting.
Interesting and a bit scary as well.
It would be scary, you know. Hopefully there isn't like those, you know, those like Geth ships, the funky shapes, kind of like a crustacean. Maybe they'll just come flying out of there. Yeah,
they stay in Mass Effect's never shied away from being scary, so I don't know why they'd stop now.
No, sometimes it really adds to the story, that kind of existential dread of becoming a husk, or of being overwhelmed by Geth. You know, you think the Geth would be a superior enemy.
So now we get down to it, is where would this planet be, you think?
I think there's real potential for it to be Rannoch, the Quarian/Geth homeworld. What we saw of it in Mass Effect 3, it was rocky. You know, it was kind of like a brown, rocky kind of landscape. This is probably somewhere of higher altitude because we've got snow. But you never have a one biome planet. You know, planets are huge. They have lots of biomes. So this could easily be somewhere on Rannoch, or it could be like another Quarian/Geth planet that we've been to, like Haestrom, where they had the ionizing radiation that was dangerous.
I mean, now you put that up, that does bring up a question. Do you think we're going to have too many new planets, or see old ones with different biomes in them?
I think we'll see old ones. I think we'll see new maps on old planets. You know, we might see, I think we'll see the Citadel. I think that might be largely unchanged. But then again, throughout every game, they changed it. There was new levels all of a sudden throughout every game. So yeah, I reckon there will be new levels, same planets. I think there will be some new planets that we may or may not have visited. I think we'll definitely visit new planets, because in the game you would often go to like really remote planets that aren't seemingly unimportant, and there's something there of significance. You know, in all three games you kind of went to different planets, and then they would get referenced in later games. So I think that could happen here. You know, Ilos, Tachanka, places where things of significance happened, and I think there'll be references to those in the new game for sure, if the new missions don't take place on some worlds. But yeah, I think they'll be old and new.
All right.
Coming back to the poster, if we scroll down, we have 4 characters.
Right above what will say a really small ship.
Yes. I think there's one of the characters is very distinct in shape. The red guy on the left, the back left, I think he is unmistakably a Krogan, and the Krogan armor is unmistakably red. And I think we know someone with red Krogan armor called Erdnot Rex. And
Yes.
I think that this is a strong indication that he is going to at least feature in the game, if not be a recruitable character that you can use on missions.
Oh, I would hope so.
It is speculation, you know, it could be just like a cinematic that means nothing, but hopefully that's not the case.
No, it sucked that I couldn't recruit him in the second game, so come on, have him recruitable again.
You know. Right, we've got a character up front, and I'm going to say what looks like, or what I'm going to speculate is the new leader or the new playable character for Mass Effect. I think it does look kind of human in shape, the shape of the head, the shape of the body. You know, he's kind of doing like a big stride there. You know, we can't speculate who it could be from this. You know, the image is very high resolution, but this far zoomed in, there's little we can do to speculate. But I think it is a human. Now, if we look in the center, we've got a person wielding a shotgun. The head looks kind of blue to me, kind of like a light blue or a dark blue or a navy blue. I think he could either be an Asari or Quarian. Now, the Asari like their shotguns, so I want to hedge my bets on an Asari. But it could also be a Quarian, you know, it's quite a long head, and the Quarians had the mask with the pipes coming out of the back of the head for them to breathe, so it could be a Quarian. And then we've got this figure on the back right.
I'd say that's a Turian.
I would concur. There's a certain Turian that I really hope it is, Garrus Vakarian. But again, you know, it's the armor's blue as well, which is promising. Garrus had blue armor, but it's very small and very pixelated. And I think in the new game, they will go for like a semi all-star cast of recruitable characters that you can take on missions. You know, I think they would fall into a bit of a trap if they recycled all of the recruitable characters. You know, it'd be kind of like Andromeda all over again, where BioWare get accused of being lazy and not creating new content that would really add to the story, to a new story. So I think that we'll see, you know, like 2 or 3, 4 all-star members tops. But what I do think as well is that there'll be more all-star crew members that you can interact with within a game, that you can go and find, but you can't recruit them. And I think that would be really cool. You know, maybe you'll run onto Tally on Rannoch, maybe you'll run into Jack somewhere, maybe you'll run into Miranda somewhere. Maybe you won't run into Legion because he's dead, but maybe you might run into Grunt somewhere onto Chunker.
I hope somewhere.
That'll be really awesome. You know what I do notice? There is 4 characters here and not 3. Now, in the original series, the original trilogy, and in Andromeda, there was the playable character, either Shepard or Ryder, and then you could take 2 crew members with you. And I think this might be a sign that in the age of the latest generation, that we can finally have
3
more
characters.
than 2 crew members.
I would love that.
That would be awesome. You know, I really hope that's the way it's going to go. And I think that it is.
Technology has finally advanced to the point we can have 3 characters.
Modern PCs, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X could definitely handle 3 characters. So they should definitely do it without
and possibly more enemies on the screen.
That would also be awesome, you know. You know, the enemies to playable characters or to recruitable characters needs to be in the right proportion. You know, Mass Effect wasn't the most challenging game in the world, but I think on the normal difficulty, it needs to present something of a challenge. So yeah, we can definitely expect to see maybe more diverse enemies with like different abilities, different weapons that present more of a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think the kind of mechanic they could go for is making you pick the right squad members for the right type of mission.
Didn't they kind of do that in Mass Effect 2?
I think so, yes, but it was kind of based on abilities only, you know. So you'd have, say, if you're up against the Geth, you take someone with overload. If you're up against the Collectors, you take ones with biotics, and if you were up against like anything else, you might take ones with like Inferno ammo, armor piercing, like soldier class types.
Yeah.
And I think that could be more diverse. That's kind of the point I was going to trying to make. So it could be to do with abilities and weapons. You know, you can have like heavy hitters, light hitters, snipers, stuff like that. Right. The last element of the poster is this vessel, which is behind our 4 characters. Now, as you pointed out, it is markedly smaller in perspective to them than, say, the SR2, and maybe even a little bit smaller than the SR1, I'd say. So this may or may not be a big shuttlecraft, or we might just have a smaller vessel. Oh, also, SFX on each side of the ship. SFX, or Science Fiction X, was actually the name of Mass Effect when the guy that wrote it first wrote it, before it was called Mass Effect. So maybe they'll come up with something a bit more interesting than Science Fiction X for the name of the ship. I think that does it for our analysis of this poster. You know, other than Mass Effect will continue, but that's like that's a running theme in the other Mass Effect content. Now, there's 2 more pieces of Mass Effect content that have been released to date. We've got a 1 minute long Mass Effect Will Continue trailer, and we've also got a picture of a shuttlecraft called the Mud Skipper and 4 characters. So if we bring up the trailer, we'll watch that, we'll break that down, and we'll see. And then after that, we'll look at the Mud Skipper, see how it all ties in, and discuss some possible theories for the game.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched.
Roger, copy. Eagle Houston, you're a go for landing, over.
Secure station. Unknown vessel approaching. We need first contact protocol.
Humanity now stands as partners in the galaxy. Arc 6 is away. Godspeed. We're gonna take down their dreadnought.
Engines are going crazy.
Is anyone receiving this? Reach lost counter.
First off, after we see the kind of disc around the star, we see some rubble and we see some debris. I'll like get a freeze frame from the video and we'll put it in post. I think that I saw the Citadel, or what looks like the Citadel. Now the scale wasn't quite right, but there was a frame with a circular structure with arms coming off of it, like the Citadel. So we'll go back to that. We'll go back and have a look at that.
What I noticed was the ship shown was not the same one as the one in the promo poster.
That is absolutely right as well. That's something I picked up on some of the other times I've watched it. I think that might signify that this SFX ship might be the main ship, and that the other shuttle, which is known as the Mud Skipper, is a shuttlecraft that will replace the Kodiak. I think the character was unmistakably Liara T'Soni, and I think that might back up the blue-headed character we see in the latest poster being Liara.
Yeah.
I think there might be some connotations of Liara picking up the old N7 headset from the snow. You know, I think they clearly went to that place, just like they've gone to this place, the Geth Mountain, looking for something. You know, why might she go looking for what I'm going to hazard a guess is Shepard's N7 gear? You know, could that hold some good reason? What might the reason be? Before we move on to that, though, there is one more image for us to look at. I think there's a little bit less to notice with this image, but it's of the vessel that we just saw, the Mud Skipper. So we've got that vessel. It's
the
landed.
XT8 one.
XT8, yep, that's correct. It's open. It's the same one from the video, and we've got 4 more characters. Now, to me personally, these guys, maybe other than the human-looking guy on the far left, they all look different to the characters that we saw in the Geth poster.
I mean, one looks like a Drell, the other one looks like a Solarian. The middle one, I don't know. Could be Batarian for all I know.
Okay, that is all 3 pieces of media that BioWare have teased us with to date. You know, I think this new Mass Effect game has been in development for at least a year, probably 2, maybe even 3, and I think we're probably going to be waiting at least a year before another trailer, maybe longer, and I think that's good. I want them to take their time. It's better to wait longer and get a masterpiece than wait shorter and get garbage. Because of how long it takes to develop good video games these days, it's so important for developers to take their time and to get it right. I think there's a very big question we haven't asked yet, and that is, who is going to be the new protagonist for the game, or is the protagonist even going to be new?
I'd still say they bring back Shepard.
I concur, and I think a lot of our viewers, I think it might be like split down the middle. You know, I can think of 2 clear ways in which Shepard can come back from 2 of the endings, and I think it would really resonate with the players if they bring Shepard back in a compelling way. Now, Destroy, there's an easier way for Shepard to come back, as we both know.
Yes. And there's an
if
easier
you-
way to have a new big bad because the Reapers are dead.
Exactly, the Reapers are dead, the Geth are dead, but this poster, it has to indicate that the Geth are going to be in the new game in some way. So if they went the Destroy ending, then this would have to kind of be like a deep level sheltered facility with like so many layers of shielding that the signal, the pulse from the catalyst, you know, let them remain unaffected. Either that, or that they are dead and they're looking for some Geth technology for some unknown reason. But you know, I think that'll be a real shame, because in Mass Effect 3, as long as you had the right amount of karma, whether you were Paragon or Renegade, you got the Geth and the Quarians to make peace finally after 300 years. So if they canonize Destroy, they're just kind of throwing that away. So I mean, I guess they could have the Geth come back, but I feel like it might be quite weak to have the Geth come back from the Destroy ending, because the Destroy ending was meant to destroy all AI. Catalyst, Geth, Reapers, ED, any other AI, all gone.
Yeah, it was meant to, but does it?
raise a good point. And until
Mhm. I mean,
until
would
something
it kill
new comes
AI
in.
that's currently inactive, but will become active when someone disturbs it, like we see in that poster?
I don't know, that kind of implies it's like an electromagnetic pulse, but
Mhm.
this is a sci-fi thing, I feel like while you could also be right, I feel like you could also be wrong.
Mhm.
But again, it's very difficult to speculate, but I think the one thing that we can say for sure is that Geth will feature in the new game in some way. They might be alive, they might be dead, they might be good, they might be bad. And this doesn't tell us a whole lot, And I think, so the bad guy, it could be the Geth, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, and I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. It could be something that we've never seen before, that we haven't seen before, something entirely new to the
I hope
series.
so.
And
Something
I
that's
think-
beyond our comprehension, hopefully.
Exactly, something maybe like Reaper-esque, but that's just also like not a carbon copy of the Reapers.
Mhm.
Because the Reapers went, oh, we're beyond your understanding. You're chaos, we're order. Yeah, okay. I think maybe they might go for something like that. So I think kind of as before, as with the trilogy, the winning formula for Mass Effect is saving the galaxy in some way or another. There has to be jeopardy, there has to be urgency. That's what makes it so compelling. And when the odds are against you as well, and you're like, oh, how are we gonna equalize these odds? How are we gonna defeat this insurmountable enemy? That's like what made the original trilogy, Mass Effect 3, so good. So we've talked about the story, we've talked about the crew. I quickly want to touch upon kind of like advances in gameplay that we might see in a new Mass Effect, and I think a lot of other analysis videos have missed this out. So I think it'd be really good for us to touch upon it, and for Mass Effect fans to kind of think about what was good in terms of gameplay, what was bad, and what the new game should and shouldn't have.
Okay. Well, I'd say what the game should have, it should have reloadable weapons. Keep that. No, do not go
Agree.
back to the overheating weapons. You should
I
have the
agree.
ability to command squad mates to use abilities or to shoot at a certain enemy.
Exactly, and you should be able to pick which ability they use.
Yes.
For example, you want to use Overload against a shielded enemy. You want to use Incinerate against an armored enemy. You want to use Warp against an enemy with a barrier, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
In Andromeda, they had you had initiators and detonators, and I think they will go that route. That crappy game Anthem that they made kind of had the same formula. That mechanic in and itself was a good mechanic. There was just other reasons why those games did poorly. As for the maps, where the next generation of consoles and the next generation of PC technologies come so far, I think we can have bigger maps. I think the winning formula is still going to be linear, but instead of just one, what is essentially a straight line with a few twists and turns, we're going to have like what's known as wide linear, where there is still a path to follow, but there's branching arms of map off the main path for things for you to explore, interaction, your collectibles, in-game resources like money, EZO, for example, your minerals that you had in all the Mass Effect games. I want to see that come into play for the levels. I think the semi-open world / open world, that Andromeda, it was too empty, it was too big. Whereas like the linear missions were a lot better. So we have to see what they do. Just to round off, we will talk about potential weapons. So, in Mass Effect 1 and 2, there were so few weapons, they were very not diverse. Maybe there's like 8 to 10 guns, and only like 2 of them were any good. Mass Effect 3 had a lot of guns, and quite a few of them were quite good. And you could mod them to be quite good. Andromeda had even more guns, and it had like factions of guns. You had N7 guns, you had Ket guns, and you had Remnant guns. So that might be quite cool to go that route, to have like human weaponry, maybe some like Geth weaponry, some Asari, some Turian.
Let's say the kind of design problem I would say with that is, how do you stop the player from getting just 1 or 2 guns they like and not using anything else?
I think like that's just like up to them, isn't it? You know,
I mean, do you
think
adjust the difficulties that they have to use different weapons depending on the mission?
That could be quite good, you know. Maybe like some like certain missions in Mass Effect 2, like you could only have a pistol. You know, when you did the Kasumi kind of heist for the first part of the mission, you were only allowed a pistol, so it might be in your best interest to have a really good hand cannon. You know, I think they could be imaginative in terms of gun designs, like all new guns. I don't want to see the M8 Avenger. Absolutely not.
No.
Please, like just design a better weapon than the M8 Avenger. Yeah, I just hope they're like a bit more imaginative, you know.
Okay.
And I think they can be, for sure. I think that just about does it for everything that we can analyze within the video. So just to round off, the Geth will almost certainly feature in the new game. Liara will almost certainly feature in the new game. We've got a new vessel. They will have to canonize one of the endings. Setting the game in the Milky Way means that one of the endings has to be canonized. It's the only way to have a coherent story that makes sense. So I think the big piece of information that remains to be seen is, what are they going to canonize? What is going to be the outcome of the universe? They can't sidestep it like they did with Andromeda. They have to pick something, either control or destroy. This is like basically their only options.
Might have to say destroy.
You're probably right. Personally, I hope they go for control. I think that'll make for a more interesting story. But yeah, let us know down in the comments what you think they will go for and why, and that'll be super interesting. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to me, Razorgenic. Subscribe to Alex Hang, where you do all sorts of different content. When any more Mass Effect content drops, new posters, trailers, we will get on and we'll make another video for you guys. So subscribe to us not to miss out on that. Thank you so much for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Video.